Hey, welcome. My name is Damon Brown. Oh, let me make sure you guys are connected. Okay, let's talk about some technical difficulties. Hold on one second. All right, thank you for your patience. It looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Hopefully, you guys will see me on the air in a moment. Let me see what's happening here. There we go. Man, I was already a few minutes late because of technical difficulties, as you can see. Thank you for being patient with me and get you guys on Amazon. Welcome. My name is Damon Brown. You're watching Bring Your TV. I'm an entrepreneurial coach. I'm happy to support side hustlers, solopreneurs, or non-traditional entrepreneurs, perhaps like yourself. If you want to coach with me, click on the link below. It's open Max right there, but it's all clean below. Click on the link below. I do have some open spots for my one-on-one coaching, so be sure to check it out as we're getting to this new year, which is going to be the emphasis of our show today. Bring Work TV comes on Wednesdays and Sundays at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. Lots of interesting stuff going on. I'm actually doing some bonus episodes now too. This is an excellent time to subscribe. It's about to get fun out here. I'll just put it like that. I'm also author of the new book, The Complete Bring Your Work Collection. You start to get dog ears. That's a good sign. We use our books in my house, right? Complete Bring Your Work Collection. It just came out, fresh off the press. Thanks to all y'all who have supported it. It actually has nearly all my business books from the past 7 years. My second kid turned 7 this year. The first Bites Entrepreneur, which y'all made a bestseller, came out when he was teething. Got pictures of it. He was actually teething on the corner of the book. So this book goes way back, all the way up to the most recent book, Built From Now, How to Know Your Power so Your Abundance to Nourish the World, which y'all supported a lot too. And of course, is the Bring Your Work Built From Now quiz at builtfromnowquiz.com, which you guys have been taking. About 1,000 of y'all taking it. It's all based on these books in here. See the collection there. Check it out. It's available everywhere books are sold, as well as available in audiobook form. And if you want to go and get a preview or just enjoy it for right now because you want something to listen to, I actually have made it available exclusively on Bring Your Work TV as well. So if you actually want to listen to it, it's about a 8-hour audiobook. So it's all there. So be sure and check it out. You can go ahead and listen to it on the show. So subscribe for free at bringyourworth.tv. It's been a fun week. I've done a lot of different episodes, experimental episodes. Looks like you guys have been riding with it, particularly this one. Had dinner with Jay-Z. Jay-Z has take the 500K. I did similar videos a couple of years ago. If you guys have been watching for a while, this is totally revamped, new live. The meme or the argument is that Jay-Z, of course, the hustler turned rapper turned music mogul, of course, a billionaire now, husband of Beyonce, and they're at the 3 kids now, and doing all kinds of stuff within sports and other things. The meme started about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. You can correct me in the comments about if you would take $500,000 tax free, this is $500,000, here's your bag, or if you would have dinner with Jay-Z. It was unclear if he paid for the dinner because we'd be at a very exclusive spot. Like, I'm not paying for the dinner and not going to take $500,000. So that ended up being the joke. There's memes about it. There's been videos about it. And I was doing videos about Jay-Z and some of his wisdom. And one of the Bring Your Work TV viewers had said a comment and it was like, if I'm watching this video, I don't need to have the dinner with Jay-Z. I'll just take the 500,000. That ended up becoming an ongoing joke. So I was like, well, why don't I take these videos that I made about Jay-Z and interviews with him and all this other stuff and put it into one video. And I did a version of it about a year and a half ago. I had to take it down for other reasons. And now there's a new version of it out. It's actually new and improved. And, as you go and get better with the work that you're doing, ends up being more improved later. So this version, you guys seem to really like it. A lot of y'all come through. It came out on Sunday. Jay-Z's birthday was December 4th on Monday. Be sure and check it out. I think you'd enjoy it. And the video is 4 minutes and 44 seconds. You get a cookie if you understand why that matters. All right. Today's show, More Business 2024. Thanks for the wonderful comments on the thumbnail. I had a great time designing it earlier this week. So More Business 2024. As of this recording, like I said, it's first week of December, and we're here. Depending on the part of the world that you're in, most parts of the world, I think I can confidently say that, are going to be taking some type of break, some type of holiday, celebrating something. My in-laws who are Hindu, they're celebrating Diwali. I have other members of the family who are celebrating other things. I have chosen family that are going to be enjoying Hanukkah in the upcoming days. So there's so many different things that are happening right now. So you might as well just consider right now 2024. Because if you're creating business, if you're building business, especially if you're an independent creator, a coach, a business person like myself, an entrepreneur, then it's like, okay, other people might be taking a break. You know, awesome people are taking vacations now and chilling out. I'm turned up, as you can probably tell by my face. Shout out to younger folks that use that term. But I'm turned up now. I'm like, let's go. Let's get ready. And so what I want to do is give y'all the tools, the tricks of the trade to make sure you're ready. I've talked about this in previous episodes, in fact, going back to pre-Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving in a couple weeks here in the States. If we're going to make an impact, and if we're going to have the so-called New Year's resolutions, as we call it here in the United States, we need to have some type of script, some type of tools, some type of resources before January 1st. And what I don't want for y'all, because I want to support y'all, is for y'all to be like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and change my business. I'm going to have 10 times as many, 10x the amount of clients I have. I'm going to be smarter with my money and blah, blah, blah. And then, realize at the end of January 1st, or worse than that, when the ball drops on December 31st, you're like, oh, I said I was going to do that. And then panic sets in, and with me, panic sets in, and then it's like a little bit of chaos. So for today, I want to put that energy into things now. We got almost 4 weeks. It's only December 6th as of this recording. Let's get you ready for the upcoming year. So I have a few questions in here that you guys have talked about a lot in my coaching practice as well as in the show, and then also resources that will help you on your way, whether they're books or software or literal physical things that will help you on your way. About 9 things we're going to highlight today. If you're on Amazon, watching on Amazon Live, you'll see, if they're available on Amazon, you'll see the links below or around my big head, somewhere around here, depending on how you have your setup. All right, let's get into the first question. How do I streamline my business system? This is important for a lot of reasons, but the main reason is that you probably have enough with your business. Chances are, like, there's more than a 50% chance that your business has the stuff that it needs, or your business is good. You just don't necessarily have the tools or the resources or the systems to get it to the next level. I do this regularly with my coaching practice. I do this regularly with the show. The show's going to be having it's the 3rd or 3-year anniversary on solstice, so beginning of winter on December 22nd. And so you might even notice little changes and differences in how I handle the show. That is absolutely on purpose. It's with thought. And so if you're going to have an independent business, or even if you're going to start a business in the upcoming year, you want to make sure that you have a system in place to handle that. There are changes happening within my household. There's changes happening with how I want to handle my business, even what type of business I want to do. There's all these ways that things are evolving, and I can tell that upcoming year is going to be different than this year. Even with my kids who are getting older, as you know, if you have kids, it's like they get older by the day. That's kind of how it works. You need to make sure that you have a system in place, a framework, so that as those changes, typically changes that you know about are coming, you can actually hold a space for those changes. The more independent you are, the more you need to be thoughtful with this process. My favorite book, at least over the last few years, I always come back to it, on this subject, is called Upstream. It's called Upstream. It's by Dan Heath. always get his name mixed up because he does a lot of books with his brother named Chip, and so I always get them mixed up. But this is like my favorite work of theirs. I've read a couple of their works that they've done together as brothers, but this one is like by far my favorite. And in fact, years ago, it was my favorite book of the year. It's this downstream thinking and there's upstream thinking. Downstream thinking is there's a crisis, we need to fix it. It's reactionary. Upstream is saying, if you think about a river, okay, I'm looking at the bend of the river up there. I see something coming around the literal bend. Let me create systems so that that won't be an issue later. A great example he gives in the book, and he has a ridiculous amount of business examples and personal examples. A great example he gives in the book is there was, I think it was a small town, probably somewhere here, somewhere in the Midwest here in the United States. And there was a cop, police officer, who was being rewarded because of the amount of tickets they were able to give out during a certain period of time. So of course that's revenue for the city, doing see how the sausage is made, that's revenue for the city. And then that ended up being for that city or town the metric as far as how well that police force was doing. Then it ended up being another police officer. Sorry, it looks like we have a little bit of lag, but it sounds like you guys heard me the whole time. Then there ended up being another police officer who actually found a better system to make sure that people didn't speed at all. So it was essentially a speed trap. So they would look for people to speed up because of a particular area of town. And so essentially a speed trap. They found a better way, this other police officer found a better way to make sure that people weren't speeding at all. But that meant less tickets. And that police department or government would have you thought that other police officer who found a way for people to slow down was actually doing less good work because the metric was over here based on the amount of tickets. That's upstream versus downstream thinking. Downstream is, oh, people are going to speed anyway. Let's go and give them tickets so they'll stop and we can make money for the school district. Upstream thinking is saying, why don't we go ahead and set up the street so that people can't speed? Avoid that whole thing. Depending on how you perhaps were raised, if you're in a work environment, how your work environment is structured, depending on how you run your life, then you might be caught up in the downstream thinking, and that might be why your work is tiring you out. That might be why your business isn't growing. That might be why you're not profitable. Because if we're in downstream thinking, we're just reacting to everything, and we're not coming up with a long-term solution. The challenge with upstream thinking, as I'm kind of hinting at, is that we're actually not rewarded for it, right? So I reorganized my office. You know, my wife didn't come in with a cake. You know, my kids didn't jump up and down, start celebrating. That the reward is when I'm going to do the show and it's 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time, and I'm meeting with y'all live. I don't need to be in chaos. That's the reward. But the reward of it is almost hidden because you don't necessarily see it. What you do is that when you're not doing upstream thinking, you feel the pain of it. And often, as Ray Dalio and other people have said, often we're more receptive to pain and we learn better than it is from pleasure and from smoothness and from fluidity. But the more fluid our lives or our systems are, the better we can be. That is just one little example. The police example, one little example from this book is, again, one of my favorite business books probably of all time. Shout out to Dan. I would highly recommend the book. It's a really easy read. I listened to it in audiobook, and I'm guessing the audiobook was about 5 hours. So I mean, it wasn't too taxing. I think almost every example was easy to understand, even if you're not involved in business. I'm involved in business, so I'm a little bit biased, but I think it's pretty understandable from everyone, even if you're new to entrepreneurship and so forth. And it was the best seller many times over. So shout out to him. I think it's absolutely worth checking out. If part of your system has to do with, how can I frame it? If you're building your business, you're having issues with the revenue, you're having issues with with the output and so forth, then there might be a foundational challenge of dealing with, and again, going back to systems. I did a special series exactly a year ago. I did a special series of lives, and they're all condensed in this one about how to start a business, so if you're starting from scratch, how to build your profit, and how to build up passive income. That's all in here. I think each program, I think the whole thing is probably about 2 hours long. Each program is about 45 minutes, half an hour, stuff like that. I think it's about 2 hours. Be sure and check it out. It's really good brain food. And again, we had a lot of good conversations. And some of y'all have chimed in too with really good insight. All that's on there. Be sure and check it out. I think you'd appreciate it. Again, we're talking about how to have more business. More business. Feels like I'm about to start rapping. How to have more business. More business in the upcoming year. Be sure and throw in your comments. How are you dealing with systems and how are you making better systems for the upcoming year? Throw in your comments. Yeah, I'd love to hear what y'all are working on and where y'all might be. All right. Looks like the tech is cooperating with us, so thank you to the tech gods. All right. Second question, which I think is really important, particularly if you're watching this show. You're probably one of us. I will not start singing. How do I manage my solopreneurship? The fact is that for myself and for a lot of us, particularly nowadays, when I first started solopreneurship a handful of years ago, there weren't as many of us. Now, it's like everybody and their mom, including my mom, has their business. And so now we're dealing with, on a mass scale, how do we deal with loneliness? Shout out to the Surgeon General who talked about loneliness being epidemic. I did an app called Cuddler. That was my startup that I sold a handful of years ago. And that was when around the time those studies started to come out. So there is a level of loneliness and challenges with being independent and being on your own. There's the stability aspect of it, because you don't necessarily have someone to lean on. Again, the social aspect of it, there's so many different details to it. So here's a couple tools that will help you kind of get on your way and make sure that you're good in the upcoming year, even stronger as far as your solopreneurship. If you're a solopreneur, go ahead and jump in the comments. Let me know the stuff that you guys are dealing with. I think it's worth talking about. One of my favorite books, Company of One by Paul Jarvis. I cleaned up my office, but not 100%, obviously. Company of One, one of my favorite books. I'm doing all of Damon's favorites today. Make sure you get the cover there. There we go. Beautiful cover. Shout out to Paul. I met him a handful of years ago while I was doing a lot more columns with me. I still have my own column, but I'm not as active. And we got a chance to connect, and fantastic guy. The subtitle says it all. While staying small is the next big thing for business. This book probably came out, well, am I guessing? I don't know. How about I look at this? You would think I wouldn't have published so many books. I'm like, oh yeah. 2019, right before the pandemic. Paul's timing was fantastic. Shout out to you, Paul. Hope you're doing well. Paul's book is basically saying you actually don't need to scale. Or the way I like to look at it, your version of scaling might not include hiring a bunch of people and having a whole bunch more overhead. He was talking about like not having an office and being remote. And again, remember, this is 2019 when it came out. If you're familiar with books, they usually take a couple of years. So he was actually writing this book in 2017, 2018. So yeah, being remote, like I don't even think he would pick the word hybrid, aside from if you're talking about biology or something, the word hybrid, or maybe cars, but the word hybrid wasn't used in regards to the workplace. But it would be like, oh, you can work from home one day a week. You got a day off. That's the terminology. He was bringing all this stuff in, again, 4 or 5, and with the writing 6 years ago. So if you're looking to make a bigger impact with your business, you don't necessarily need to get bigger. And in fact, there's challenges and deficits, for lack of a better term, if you do decide to scale, to physically scale. Number one, you need to deal with employees and payroll. So if you're having a lean month, you can't be that lean because you have people depending on you. It's not just you. It's also the aspect of management, so managing other people. The third thing, which I keep emphasizing, and one of the reasons why a lot of us are solopreneurs, is the overhead. I don't have a whole lot of overhead, even with the show, and right now it's 18,000 of y'all that are tuning in, which I appreciate. The overhead hasn't really changed. I got a little bit of a better light, and I got some new shirts. Like that's about it. There's not a whole lot of overhead, as opposed to if I turn it into a production. Shout out to those of y'all who actually have TV productions. I know some of y'all. Then it's like you got staff, you have office space, you have a warehouse you're filming in. I don't have any of that. This is my office. As soon as I'm done with this TV show, then I'm going to be working with one of my clients right here. Like it's not a stretch for me. He talks about or extols, I love that word, he extols the value in that. And that psychologically, and that's why this book really touched me, psychologically, he gives us permission to be small. And so the assumption is, oh, okay, I hired my first employee, or, I got office space. I'm here in Las Vegas. I got office space off the strip. Then the view is that, oh, I'm balling. But I could ball right here in my office. Weird bird, but you hear what I'm saying. There's a way that you can scale and make an impact. And sometimes the biggest impact you can make and the way that you can stay in the game the longest is by staying small. Keep that in mind. Absolutely fantastic book. Highly recommend it. Shout out to Paul. It's one of those books where I'm like, it's like he read my mind. And it's fantastic, fantastic read. If you're going to be a solopreneur, way to move product. That product, in my case, could be the complete bring your word selection. I was just recently on the road, and you have to be able to, to sell your books on the road. Even if you're working with traditional publishers, there's ways that you can work with them and do that. If you have if you're selling blankets, even if you're selling goods, like I'm a business coach. Again, all my links are below. I do have some space over on my roster. I'm a business coach, and so I do it for money. Like it's not free, and so I need some way for people like yourself to pay me if we decide to coach together. Like you need some way to handle those transactions. You don't have that backing or that infrastructure to say, oh, okay, I'm going to send it to, Jody in accounts payable. We don't have an accounts payable. We are the accounts payable, right? We don't have a manager. We are the manager. Square is a great way to do that. You guys have probably heard of it if you've been in this space, or you, particularly nowadays, you definitely went to a restaurant, went to particularly some of the indie, the place you see like at the farmers market and stuff. They'll have it real quick. Square is an opportunity for you to get transactions done independently. They take a small fee off the top. I think as of this recording, I want to say it's just under 3%. I want to say 2.9%, but it fluctuates. But that allows you to not just have the cash, which I'm lucky enough to have cash on hand, not only to take the cash from folks and of course give them change or whatever, which is a whole another maze, but also to take their credit card. And that's online as well. For several years, Square was the main way that I actually brought in money for my businesses, which I'm super thankful for, particularly when I started doing independent books. Again, it was 7 years ago with the Bike Design Entrepreneur, my first major independent book, physical book. And I was selling those via Square, but that was how I did things. Here's a link to Square. This will actually give you a discount. It's a referral link, so I think I get a credit or something too, but it's going to be a better credit for y'all than if you go directly to square.com or whatever, squareup.com, whatever the website is. Basically, you're telling them Damon sent you, and they'll go ahead and set you up. It's pretty straightforward to do it. You can do it online, so you get that straight, and then you can actually get the physical equipment so that you can do those transactions. But if you did not want to do the physical equipment, which I didn't know for a little while, if you did not want to do the physical equipment, like the little Square readers, which I'll show in a moment, you can actually go to download the Square app. You can download the Square app and then just punch in the person's credit card or debit card number, and then it'll do the transaction as long as you have a wireless, a cell phone connection. And we're talking Android and iPhone. I remember getting involved with Square back then. It was in Silicon Valley. That was before I got married, before I had kids, all that. And my eldest was 10 years old. So like they've been around for a while. They're trustworthy. Be sure and check them out. And with the framework too, if you go and do that transaction, you have the option, I believe you have the option now of having the money in your account by the next day for a small fee. Or if you just want to wait, then they'll automatically go ahead and transfer it to your checking account or savings account, however you set it up, within, I want to say, 2 business days. But it was pretty fast. And again, when I was in San Francisco and I was independently doing things, I was like, I need that money right away, to be honest with y'all. And so it was dependable enough so that, once I made the sale, then the money was in my account in a reasonable time. I think they're even faster now. Be sure and check it out. You use the link below. I think there's some type of credit with that. And the Square Terminal, ooh, now we're having fun. There's the Square Reader, which you have that highlighted if you're watching on Amazon. And then there's Square Terminal, which is a big terminal. And then here's another one, which is a bigger Square Reader. I like this joint. I've talked about it on the show a few times. This is what it looks like. This is actually a Square Reader, but there's a different term for it. Contact list. Contact list. I never said a word. Contact list. So no contact. Really popular again in these pandemic times. You can see there's a little slot there. Hopefully you can see it. Yes. And then a wire. This is a traditional USB wire. I happen to have one that, actually I think both of them, and they work both with PC and Mac and all those other things. So this is the USB connection. Everybody loves USB. This is called USB 3.0, just so you know, because there's a lot of other USBs that are popping up now. All right. What you do is, it's really simple. You take your card, and I'm going to take one of my weather business cards. Shout out to business cards. They don't get enough love. And there's 2 ways to do it. You can, boy, this is awkward. Hopefully you guys can see. You can slide in here, right? Just like you do at the grocery store. Or the really cool part, you can tap it. And most of the cards, I think all my credit cards have been, and debit cards have been updated where they all have the, if you look at your card, it will have a little chip in there. Just like the chip, if you're old school like me, just like the chip that you had to, and in some cases you still have to put into your, like the SIM card that you have to put into your phone. You don't do that as much now, but occasionally you have to do that. It's like that. You'll see that on your card. I'm not going to show my card just for security purposes, but pretend it's the card and the chip is right there. And then you just tap it on there. So again, if you do grocery shopping like I do, grocery stores come to mind, but there's other stores that do that. Even some restaurants do that, but mostly like the grocery stores or the daily convenience kind of stores, they're getting on that. You're part of that energy. And so when I'm doing a keynote, or even something more subtle where, again, I just finished traveling, so somebody wanted a copy of, the independent Bring Your Word collection, just came out. If somebody wanted a copy while I was traveling with family, I'd be like, okay, bet. Look it up, do that. Square also has these little tiny squares that are about this big. I would dig for it, but I don't want to waste the time on our live program. Where they're super tiny and they plug right into your phone, and then you can slide the card in there. But they do not do the contact list. In that case, if you do the tiny square, then you just have to slide it. So there's 4 ways to do it. Sorry, looks like we got a connection back. But there's 4 ways to connect to Square. One is using the app, which you can download for free. Type in the person's credit card or debit card number. Then you can use the little tiny square that plugs right into your phone. You can slide it. It's not contactless, but at least you don't have to punch in the numbers. The third is the Square Reader, but this one is contactless. They can put the card in there, or they just tap it, and it'll go through. And the last one, which is actually linked in here, is a Square Terminal. That's the one that looks a little bit like a cash register, so it's a little bit bigger, about the size of like an iPad. It's pretty light. It's about the size of an iPad. And that's when I've been on book tour, or when I was entrepreneur in residence over at the Toledo Lucas Public Library when we lived over in Sylvania, Ohio. Actually, all those links to my keynotes for the Entrepreneur Residence are available at bringyourworth.tv. Be sure to check them out if you're interested. Then that's right. Then I was there all month doing keynotes. So I needed something a little bit heftier because I was going to be there regularly. People are going to be coming and buying books. Or more importantly, there are going to be other people that are going to be selling the books. I had to make sure they were good as far as getting involved in that. So as you can tell, I'm really excited about that. Getting a copy of, again, Company of One. I never recommended some of you on the program, and he came back and you're like, oh my God, this book is amazing. So I hope it's still being useful to you. It's a highly recommended book, one of my favorites. And join Square and get Square Terminal, which is where the link is, or get some of the smaller ones like the Contact with Square Reader, which is a nice happy medium, easy to travel with. If you're going to be doing some heavy hardcore traveling, you might just want to get the Tiny Square one. And the Tiny Square one, I think, is either free when you sign up, or it costs like $10, so it's super, super cheap. But if I remember correctly, because I signed up obviously like 15 years ago, if you use this link, I think they give you a free Tiny Reader, so you can check that out too. All right, so today we're talking about ways that you can have more business in 2024. My name is Damon Brown. I'm an entrepreneurial coach. If you want to coach with me, be sure and check out the link below. I have a little bit of space in my roster, so come through if you think it's something that you need for the upcoming year. And I'm happy to support you. And it's Bring Your Worth TV. Comes on every, there it is. So technology's trying to bite me today. Bring Your Worth TV. I come to your living room Wednesdays and Sundays at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. And yeah, how are y'all handling not even entrepreneurship, solopreneurship? And how do you want to sharpen up your blade in the upcoming year? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. The last question. Ask questions. How can I handle my finances better? I'm gonna be real with y'all. This is on my short list for the upcoming year. So, I'm not just a client. I'm the president. You know what I mean? So representing. That's one of the reasons why I love being a business coach. I love hanging out with y'all a couple times a week. This is like episode 365, so I must like it. And so many of y'all come through and support it, which I love too. It's because a lot of the challenges that you're facing, either I faced in the past or I'm facing now. There might be a little bit more insight that I have because I might be further down the road. I sold my startup a handful of years ago. I've built successful businesses. I've done a couple of TED Talks. So I might be further on the road than you are, but we're actually still on the same road. And so I love being able to chat with you and be like, yo, not only am I like, processing the stuff and passing things on to y'all, but I'm also going through a lot of this stuff myself. Finances is really high on my list, like top one, it'll be top one. And so as I work on that, I'm happy to share insights that I have with that too. And even have a successful business, it's part of the process, and the level that I'm at, I talked to a mentor the other day where I was reminding myself the level that I'm at is way higher than it was, say, 3 or 4 years ago, and way higher than it was, say, 10 years ago, around the time that I sold the startup. The interesting thing with that is that you don't always see that. You just kind of see where you want to go next. A colleague of mine, Jeanette Hurt, we did a book called The Passive Writer, the links are below. We talked about there being kind of like a mountaintop syndrome, because once you get to one mountaintop, you barely take a breath and you see another one ahead and you kind of keep going. And as solopreneurs, we tend to keep things moving because some it's to survive, some it's through habit, some of us are independent because we don't have very long attention spans and we want the next challenge. Maybe all the above. I can relate to a lot of those things. So as we look towards 2024, it's not just about bringing in more income. That's not just about solopreneurship and understanding that better if you're a solopreneur or want to be one. It's also about handling the finances, the profit, the money that comes in. How can we handle that better? One simple way is using something like QuickBooks. I used QuickBooks way back in the day. I'm thinking back when I used to live in New Orleans, I was working on my first major book a lifetime ago. It was before Katrina. That's how long ago it was. Wonderful experience. Still think about it to this day. You see some of the some of the memorabilia from that wonderful period of time in my life. And I was trying to get a book deal before I went independent. Going independent at that period of time was a lot harder. That's why I keep pushing independence so much, because there's so many tools that we have that people didn't have, including me, didn't have at the time. I'm talking about a decade or two ago. And I kept pushing, and I had an agent, and I ended up firing the agent because they weren't working with me. And then I got another agent, and it was just such a process, and it took years, to be honest. And then I got the right agent at the time, and then suddenly I had 3 book deals. So I went from no book deals to 3 within the course of, like, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks. Like, it was pretty insane. And so suddenly I was working on this stuff, but that also meant I wasn't Rockefeller, but I had money coming in. I immediately got QuickBooks. I might have got it a little bit before that, but it was definitely used a lot in that era, because I needed a way to organize my stuff. If you're used to being broke, I was never poor, but becoming an adult, being an artist, being a creator, being independent, being an entrepreneur, some of y'all can relate to this. When you first start, it's like you're just trying to eat. Then the money starts coming in, but then you might still have that mentality of living paycheck to paycheck. I fight this all the time with myself, and I know some of y'all fight this too, because some of y'all are my coaching clients. And that's kind of a double-edged sword, where it's like, yeah, you've learned to be frugal and thoughtful and make a paycheck stretch on those things. And it's like, but when you have the bigger checks coming in, I remember getting my first 5-figure check, and I was like paralyzed. You know what I mean? I've done videos about it. You can check it out at BringItWorks.tv. But, this helped calm me down. Because I'm like, this is what's coming in, this is what's coming out. QuickBooks is old school, at least the one I use. Now they have new technology that makes it super smooth. So I think there's some AI that's involved now, because they just upgraded this stuff. Like, literally just upgraded it, I think, over the last few months. That's why I'm highlighting them. There's ways that they can help you with the tax, tax, not reductions, but tax write-offs and so forth, which if you're independent, that's really important, because then some of that money you should be getting back from the government, things of that nature. Be sure and check it out. They are revamped. There's a link right below. Check it out. I think there's some type of credit or special they have if you use the link below. Be sure and check it out. If you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do, just try to get things organized. I'm getting things organized myself. Again, trying to be transparent here. There's new apps and new things that I'm using as we speak. And so I will bring a report back to y'all if you're looking to get your money right in the upcoming year too. Other one is a new one, which I have not mentioned yet. I'm actually shocked that I've not mentioned it. So I'm a big fan of it. It's called Gusto. Don't mistake it for the main character in CB4. If you get that reference, congratulations, you're as old as I am. Gusto is amazing. What Gusto does is it pays your employees, particularly if they're independent contractors. And I didn't realize it, but I've been using Gusto for years now with the consulting and the contracting that I do, what they call 1099. So I think they do it with employees, but 1099 is where it really shines. Gusto is really simple. You go ahead and set up your payroll, whether it's contract, consulting, or regular. You set that up. Gusto will make sure that whomever it is gets paid, and will also organize all the tax stuff. I don't know how deep they go with the taxes. So if you have unique things, this might not be for you. If you have some weird tax thing, or if you're an overseas organization, because I think it's mostly here in North America, you might have other needs. Just be clear. As they say, this is not financial advice. So make sure you're straight. Even go ahead and connect with someone beyond QuickBooks to make sure this will work for you. But there's major organizations that I've worked with, still work with, that use Gusto all the time. The pay is always good. It always lands where it's supposed to. And then even with December now, they just reached out and they're like, hey, we're going to go ahead and process the tax thing. Can you go and confirm your address, all those things? Like, but I know that the organizations that I'm working with are not the ones that are triggering that. That's gusto. And so if you're like, hey, I'm a solopreneur now, but I need to get some more people on my team. So you end up doing your first hire in the upcoming year, or you end up doing multiple hires in the upcoming year. Things move fast. Exactly a year ago with this show, I had about 500 or 600 of y'all that were subscribed. Now I have about 18,000. Within 365 days, things can change real quick. And so if you're scaling like that, or you have a year where you're planning on scaling, sometimes you don't plan to scale and it just happens. But if you're planning on scaling, you might need to bring more people in, independent contractors or what have you. If you're going to do that, please find some type of system to keep all that stuff organized. Not only for the sake of you and your business and your sanity, but also for, as an independent contractor, also for an independent contractor to be hiring. Because the folks that are using, and it's not even a co-sign like me trying to get y'all to use it. Seriously, like I was like, when I had got a message from Gusto about the about getting ready for the upcoming year and all that stuff, and I think I got paid by someone through Gusto. I was like, how? I haven't shared Gusto, and that's one of the reasons why I'm excited about it. Where I'm like, yes, it makes it easier for independent contractors like myself, but for if you're running a business and you're hiring independent contractors, being reliable as far as when the money comes out and the day it comes out and make sure the taxes are right, that makes it so much easier for independents like myself to work with you. So if you're going to be hiring independent contractors or even hiring employees, consider looking at Gusto because they have stuff organized in a way where I don't know if you're independent, I don't know if you've done independent work, but oftentimes, especially the major organizations will have their own fulfillment vessel or portal. And it is, sometimes it's bad. Sometimes you have to become a vendor and then you have to put in this and you have to re-put in your information and stuff gets lost. Gusto is like this. And so being a veteran freelancer or independent contractor, I highly recommend Gusto. If you're actually going to be building your business, scaling up and hiring folks like myself, make it easier on us. If you don't get Gusto, get something to keep things organized. Just having a trail of email, that ain't it for the new year. That ain't it. I'll get off my soapbox. My last recommendation, the ultimate guide to start passive income. This came out about a year ago. I'm actually updating the video literally as we speak. I think that's part of the reason why I was having tech problems because my computer was working overtime, so I was getting the video ready, and it's actually going to be premiering. I believe it's going to be this Sunday. So check it out. There's going to be a revamped version of this, but the older version is great too. So be sure and check out the older version. The link is right here. As soon as the new version comes out, I'll be sure and put it on the socials on LinkedIn. That's the only social I'm working with right now on LinkedIn, as well as if you subscribe, you'll get a notification over at Bring Your Work Back to You. Thank you so much for coming through, y'all. I really enjoyed today's program. I think particularly because I'm excited, always excited to help y'all level up, you know, and go to where you need to go. Oh my gosh, it looks like my camera just died. Man, it is one of those days. It sounds like you can hear me, so that's good. My name is Damon Brown. Even though you can't see me, I'm an entrepreneurial coach. If you want to coach with me, again, I have a couple of slots open for this upcoming year. As one of my coaching clients said, shout out to you, you know who you are. I rarely have open slots. That didn't sound right, but just hear me out. I rarely have open slots. I actually have some open slots now. Be sure and check it out, particularly as we go into the new year. I love to get you right. Bring Your Work TV every Wednesday and Sunday at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. And you get the complete Bring Your Work collection. It's out now. Can't show it to you guys because I'm not on the air. And you can watch the whole collection now. You can listen to it. It's audio. You can actually listen to it. You don't have to sit there and stare at the screen. You can just listen to it. I just went for a brief walk today. It was so fantastic. And yes, perfect for those kind of things. Walks, road trips, you know. Pina coladas on the beach. Just run with it. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for your patience with the technology. I think it's a signal that it's time to get off the air. Much love. Remember, you can always bring your words. You can always build from now.